So today we're gonna install the front set of tire blocks in a this tire here is a Maxxis Razor 2 21710. Pretty simple process. First thing we're gonna do is the tire blocks are gonna come with an 8-ounce bottle of silicone like this. You can apply it with this bottle. Here at the shop, just for ease of use and speed, use a brush and a bucket. Just lube the inside of the tire up real good. Make sure you get all the sides. This will help keep the heat down, keep the blocks from prematurely deteriorating. Once you get that done, start with all the blocks, same process, just I use a brush. Brush the lube on all the sides and install it. So you have your first block in. Continue the process until all of them are lubed and installed. Sometimes you'll notice when you get the blocks, sometimes they're white, sometimes they're black. There's no difference. It's just a color option. Sometimes we like to just switch it up a little bit so it's a little different, a little entertaining. This tire will take roughly 14 to 15 blocks. Just kind of depends on when and where the tire was manufactured, I guess. Some tires are different than others. There's a little bit of inconsistencies even with the higher end tire manufacturers. I'm sure it's just a batch deal, not a huge deal. Sometimes you just got to add an extra block or not add as many blocks. And this is a pure silicone. It's not a bunch of chemicals mixed together to make a lubricant. It's more or less all natural. It's a food grade silicone, so if you want to wear rubber gloves, that's great. It's not going to hurt your hands. It's not going to give you any kind of crazy chemical burns or anything weird like that. It's completely safe. Sometimes when you get to the end here, the blocks start getting a little harder to put in. Feels like we may be only getting 14 in this one. Just stick your hands inside, kind of spread the blocks out with your fingers. Sometimes you can start with the narrow side of the block, get it started, spin it in there. Just rotate it back to its correct position. Okay, so we'll get one more. That's 14 currently, so this is the 15th. We'll go ahead and lube this one up. Set it aside right here. We'll use the spreader plates that are available from us. Go ahead and install the backside. First one, use the threaded rod. Make sure you put a little bit of grease on the threaded rod. Start it. Go ahead and hold it down. I just hold it down. expand it out enough, set the last block inside here. Pull the plates back out. There you have it. All the blocks are installed. Now it's time to install the wheel. So this part of the process, we're going to install this small plastic tube that's supplied with the kit in through the side of the valve stem. This will allow air to exit the wheel and tire in the event that the block covers the end of the valve stem and blocks it off. I like using a device. It's a pin vise with a 1/16 inch drill bit that you'll need to supply. Get them anywhere. So just slide the tube over the drill bit and just go into the side of the valve stem inside. Sometimes it takes a little work. Push it all the way through both sides. Sometimes you need to come back. I use a pair of pointed side cutters. Cut the center of it out. I just push it out a little bit and just cut off the edges, so you end up with two little small pieces of tube so that the air can cross through the side if the block covers the end, so you can still get air out of the tire. So this part of the process, after you get the blocks installed, we'll put the wheel in, make sure that it's clean, get all the excess silicone lube off of the wheel and tire. This will make it go a little easier. If you get it too slick, the wheel wants to just keep popping out and you're just chasing it. Makes it pretty challenging. Sometimes if you got a second guy to help you, this helps as well. I prefer a short tire iron. Makes it a little bit more difficult, but less cumbersome than the big one. So I'm going to jump up on the table just because typically do this on the floor. Just put my knee inside the wheel and just start working it. And there it is. Wheel started, we got the valve stem modified. So now we're ready to pull the wheel through the foam. This is the part where everybody has a question. How do I do that? How does it get through there? The foam's pretty pliable. It moves around quite a bit. There's a couple different options. Different methods. Some people like the cone, some people don't like the cone. So this part of the process, we're actually going to show just the halo without the cone. So first part is the wheel adapter, the base plate, threaded. It's got nuts on it for a couple different bolt patterns. I just put the bolts in there, set it up inside the wheel. Take a couple lug nuts to hold it on. Put it back down flat. set the halo on here, make sure that you've got at least one washer on it. Make sure that you grease the threaded rod so it doesn't seize up in there and bind up. Go ahead and start it. I use a cordless impact. Sometimes if you're doing this, if you have the means, you can put a hole in your workbench or use it on a stand that's got a hole in the center so the threaded rod will go through. I'm going to hold it here on its side so you can see it. Go ahead and pull it out once you get all the way in there. There you have it. Just take the adapter plate off. Set your tools aside. And there it is. Now all we got to do is get the second half of the bead on the wheel. So we're at the point now where with this front, this is a Maxxis 21-inch, 21 by 7 front tire. All that's needed now is to get the second side of the tire mounted on the wheel, which will be done on a tire machine. That's the easiest, most effective way to do it. To do it manually with a set of tire irons or spoons is extremely challenging. So if you do attempt that, just make sure you've got a second set of hands to help you out. But it's doable, just very challenging. With other tire sizes, be aware that the larger UTV stuff and ATV stuff does get a little bit more challenging than this, especially if the foam is a denser foam like we use in the UTVs. And a bead lock, obviously, at this point, you'd bolt the ring on and you'd be done. So here we are. We got the blocks installed. Everything's done. I'm going to mount the second half on this tire machine. This stuff all pretty much is the same method, no matter what size tire it is. Obviously, the bigger the stuff, sometimes a little bit more challenging. Pretty standard stuff. This machine, pretty much like anything else anybody's got in the shop. So just pull the bead down into the drop zone of the wheel. Get your tires set. Sometimes you got to pry the tire around the head here, get it started properly. And just hold it down as you follow it around. And there it is. Go ahead and remove it and set the bead. Filling the bead, same process on this with the blocks. Sometimes some tires it may take a little bit more pressure, just because the block is actually trying to hold the tire in there and where it belongs. Fill it up to your desired tire pressure. In our situation, it's 6 pounds is what we're going to run. And there you have it. You're done.